Wearing my Diagon Alley shirt. I went to Diagon Alley, Universal Studios, Florida for the first time ever, on vacation. It's very cool. Got to see this very dragon breathing fire. Pretty cool sight. You know the dragon's about to breathe fire when you hear a slight growl. It's very, very subtle. And usually a tip-off is other tourists are posing their cameras because they know it's coming, but sometimes they're wrong. So sometimes they're just taking a picture. Sometimes it catches you off guard. It rained a little bit. It very lightly rained when I was at Diagon Alley, and so they didn't do the fire during the rain. So they overcompensated by someone clearly is manually pushing a button. But the employees working in Diagon Alley are very cool. If you walk up to any of the shopkeepers, you say, "Hey, when's the dragon gonna shoot fire?" They say, "Oh, well, she's in a. It depends on what her mood is. She's unpredictable," and they'll give you a backstory, every one of them, and it's pretty cool. It's a very cool atmosphere, very cool setting. The shops are very unique. There's a pet shop with like stuffed animals. Many different clothing shops. There are high-end. There's one more focused on Quidditch uniform focused. There's definitely a wand shop where they have a whole wand sales routine. Many different wands. Pretty much every wand in the movie you can get both regular or with a magic thing. And I have the wand over there I got in Hollywood. I didn't bring my wand. I regret that. There's a lot of new different tricks, especially the water. There's a cool shooting water trick. And if someone's walking by and you do the water trick, you can fall in their face. But Diagon Alley, J.K. Rowling, not only an amazing sci-fi writer, adapted into some amazing movies. Did I say sci-fi? I meant fantasy. But she's also a stand-up comedian. Diagon Alley, diagonally. I could picture Riff Raff shooting a video in Diagon Alley talking about obtuse angles and sitting sideways at a Chinese buffet. In this video, I'm going to be doing a review of Choco Caramel Mentos. I got these Choco Caramel Mentos at the Denver airport. The famous Denver airport, this very same Denver airport with the giant fiberglass blue horse out front with the glowing red eyes. And obviously Montauk Project, it is the conspiracy theory belief concerning that statue sculpture. But no, it is not even close to the rearing horse statue mentioned in the Montauk Project books. That horse specifically had a robotic look to it. It was very modern and made out of metal and really robotic, different robot parts. It just didn't have the smooth, muscular fiberglass look at all. In this video, I'm going to be doing nothing but reviewing a couple food items. Choco Caramel Mentos I got at the Denver airport. No, I did not get to see any of the controversial murals. As far as the murals specifically, they're very controversial. They're like guys with guns and gas masks. Some people say it's a future vision of NWO, whatever the case. I didn't get to see that because that's probably at the entrance of the Denver airport. I flew in and it was only in the United area because I flew United. And so when you're flying United, you're stuck in the United area. You only have access to the United gate restaurants and shops. And I didn't see any of the famous murals or anything. They even added a talking gargoyle. Man, I really wanted to see the talking gargoyle. That's brand new. The Denver airport knows about the Illuminati conspiracies and all this and that. And they added a talking gargoyle to say, "Oh, the Illuminati's watching you." you in the red hat. It literally can see the people. There's a guy behind it with a microphone who's controlling it. Very amazing. I wanted to experience that, but it's probably at the entrance to the airport, not the individual like jail cell United areas where you go just from your connecting flights. It's too bad. I'm gonna go back. I want to go back. I want to, check it out. People say there's lizards living underneath it and all this and that, but I wanted the souvenir to an extent. I've never seen Choco Mentos in my life. Gonna be opening up this giant Choco Mentos. Chocolate on the inside, caramel on the outside. It's like a reverse Milk Duds. Milk Duds have caramel on the inside, chocolate on the outside. The only difference is the caramel is very dry, but the chocolate is even drier. The chocolate is so dry, it's almost like tasting Nesquik with a dash of water. It's very dry, but I like it a lot. There's only one left. I only have one left. So here is the actual Mentos chocolate and caramel. And Mentos are supposed to be mints. They're supposed to give you fresh breath. I've already had all the other ones. Each one of these big containers contains 6 rolls. Not a huge amount of rolls, and they're not even full-size rolls. They're kind of smaller rolls. And since this is clearly like a 99-cent roll, maybe even a 50-cent roll, but let's say it's a $1 roll. $6 worth, it was $9.99, pretty much. So it's definitely not the biggest savings, but I've never seen this individually. I've never seen the Choco Caramel Mentos individually. It's not going to make your breath fresh, but it's a really good snack. Watching movies, grab yourself some Choco Caramel Mentos. They're pretty good. Next up on our taste test. A Harry Potter chocolate frog. From Hollywood, Universal Studios, Hogsmeade. Now, Florida Universal Studios also has a Hogsmeade. And then they have Diagon Alley. Here's a unique Diagon Alley shirt you can only get at Diagon Alley. And then they have the train station. So Florida has the trifecta, has the trilogy, trinity, whatever you want to call it, of the biggest Harry Potter land in the world that I know of, excepting the sets back in England. I got this chocolate frog back in March of 2017, or at least that's the expiration date. So I got this in 2017. Here is the container. Wow, the price was $10.95. No wonder I never opened it. I've had this frog for over 2 years. I've never opened it. It's probably white and getting old and crusty and dusty and disgusting. But the fact is, there's an MRE guy that eats a lot of old chocolates from the 1950s out of old military food rations. And if he can eat a chocolate bar from the 1950s, I think I can eat a chocolate frog from 2017. And speaking of vintage foods, this Mentos at the Denver airport in the United section had dust on it. So I knew it wasn't probably the freshest. But I was like, Mentos, I'm sure they last a long time. And I took the risk. So if you're at the Denver airport, pick up one of the giant Mentos. I was going to get the strawberry. It's my favorite Mentos, strawberry. But probably my second favorite is the chocolate caramel chocolate, because I've grown accustomed to it. The first time I had it, I was like, what is this? But on the second pack, I was like, I was addicted. But chocolate frog, milk chocolate frog, you can get at most of the Harry Potter confection stores. They have a lot of different candies, Harry Potter themed, beyond the jelly beans you can get at the store. You really can't get this except for in Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley. You can see these stacked up. They have a lot of them. Because they're so expensive, people don't buy them too often, or maybe they do. But we shall see. I'm going to open it right now for the first time ever. Over 2 years old. For a chocolate item that is pretty old. But I'm not even going to close up on it. I'm just going to open it up, show you what it looks like, take a bite out of it. Okie doke. Wow. I'm very surprised. Oh, sweet. I got Godfrey Gryffindor with my chocolate frog. I am noticing a little bit of white stuff, or just lighter stuff on the bottom, but the back looks surprisingly fresh. Opening it up, I could smell some chocolate. I didn't know it comes with a lenticular figure. I got Godfrey Gryffindor. That's cool. I would have preferred Dumbledore, but that's no big deal. It's pretty cool. That was a nice lenticular card. Collect them all. These things being $11 a piece, I don't think I would want to collect them all. That'd be pretty expensive, but this bag is very loose. Let's open it up. Smells decent. Smells like chocolate. Milk chocolate. Okay, I'm noticing one of the feet are already a little bit loose. Okay, I'm breaking off the foot. The foot is slightly colored. Okay. It's edible. It's edible. The whole thing is solid chocolate. I don't know if it is because of the age. No. It's not the age. It's definitely a unique blend of chocolate. It tastes like it was mixed in a pot and poured into a mold, and there it is. It tastes kind of like homemade chocolate candy. Kind of a homemade recipe taste to it. Not bad, but unexpected. It's pretty creamy, It has an aftertaste of something that I can't pinpoint. It's pretty good. I'm not used to it. I'm sure if I chopped it in pieces over the course of a week, I could finish it. It's alright. I'm surprised how edible it was. I was expecting it to be totally white and totally unusable. But no, after 2 years, it's still edible. It's still pretty good. Our next item to review is Astronaut ice cream. I'm sure you've seen freeze-dried Astronaut ice cream before. The Neapolitan, chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. Very common. I remember the first time I can remember having this. So long ago, it's embarrassing. I was a little kid. I believe it was an observatory, and we were looking for comets. Maybe it was a meteor shower. I was like 5 years old, and my mom bought me some astronaut ice cream. I was like, yes, ice cream that astronauts eat. And there's been a whole thing on the internet about that, how astronauts never even eat this. It's more of a gimmick. I don't care. This stuff is delicious. I prefer this to regular ice cream. Not an ice cream fan. I don't eat ice cream much at all. Not an ice cream fan. I did try butter beer ice cream while in Diagon Alley Universal Studios Florida. And it was alright. I have an entire gripe against butterbeer in Universal Studios Florida. I'll talk about that at another time. It's not exactly the same as the butterbeer I had in Hogsmeade, Universal Studios Hollywood. The butterbeer in Universal Studios Hollywood is better than the butterbeer in Universal Studios Florida. Now, maybe it was a bad day, maybe the batch was bad, maybe they watered it down for some reason or another, but there is guaranteed one ingredient missing from the Florida. I drank, I believe, only 2 glasses of butterbeer in Florida. That's it. 2 glasses and then an ice cream. That was the extent of the butterbeer I had the entire time. I guess I had a sip of the frozen butterbeer, and it was the same. It tasted watered down, and it was missing a key ingredient. So if you're going to have butterbeer, go to the Hollywood Universal Studios Hogsmeade. At least from my experience in 2017, it was way better than the 2019. Perhaps the 2019 Florida butterbeer is just as bad. Maybe they've watered it down worldwide. I don't know. But I do know a secret about the recipe of the actual butterbeer they actually use at Universal Studios Hollywood. And it's a secret, but I'm willing to reveal it. After looking and scouring YouTube, Google, I found exactly 0 people that even came close. Most people mix actual butter. And I'm sure there's some ancient butterbeer that has real butter in it. That has nothing to do with the Universal Studios butterbeer. Obviously, butterbeer in the Harry Potter movies could have been anything. Could have been water with food coloring. I'm talking about the actual butterbeer that actually exists in Hogsmeade, both in Florida and Hollywood, and Diagon Alley. An actual product that people line up for, not just because of the movies, but because it's good, right? Although it's way better in Hollywood, I only had 2 glasses in Florida, and I was there for 2 days. I was only there for 1 day in Hollywood. I easily had 8 glasses. That's how much better it was in Hollywood. Anyway, no big deal. Everyone's eating this ice cream, Astronaut ice cream, right? It's freeze-dried ice cream. It's not a big deal, right? This particular bag is from the year 2001. September 2001 is the expiration date. So it might be from before then. The expiration date on this is September 2001. As a matter of fact, I think I got this in the year 1999 or the year 2000. I thought it was cool. I pinned it to my wall for a while. I put it in a drawer. It's been stored pretty well. It's freeze-dried ice cream. I'm sure it's fine. But this ice cream right here is, we're talking 19 years old, 20 years old, 18 years old at the youngest. This is at least 18-year-old freeze-dried ice cream. Not a big deal because it's freeze-dried. I'm going to eat it. If I was rich, I'm talking $10 million. Sure, I'd buy some stupid things, but I wouldn't jump out and get a Ferrari and a Lamborghini. All right. One thing I would get would be, we're talking like a case of Astronaut ice cream because, I don't know. You eat it, you always want more. But if I had a case, yeah, that'd be bad. You know, I would order a nice new treadmill to go with it. But let's open it up. This is pretty much 20-year-old freeze-dried ice cream. 20 years old. Oh my gosh. Woo! It smells a little rank. A little disgusting. It has a stale flavor to it. One time I went on a canoe trip down the Colorado River, and they said pack your own food just in case, but there will be meals provided. and I grabbed food out of the pantry. And I grabbed like some soups. Powdered soups, of all things, that I never had in my life, but they just happened to be in the pantry. I grabbed these powdered soups. One of the days they didn't serve food, so I had to get some powdered soup, and it pretty much smelled just like this. It was expired soup, and I had to eat expired soup, and I spit it out, and I was like, ugh, I'll just starve for today. After a certain amount of time, I don't know, it's the bacteria, whatever the case, food can expire and just get that expired smell. But I'll press on and see. If it is edible. I'll open it up on the strawberry side. Ugh. I mean, it smells edible. Here's a huge chunk of strawberry. Huge. So let's just take a bite out of it. 20-year-old freeze-dried ice cream. This is strawberry flavor. It tastes like vanilla flavor. So, it's not that bad, but it almost seems to have lost its strawberry flavor. I did have one of these maybe 6 months ago. A fresh, brand new bag. And I could freshly taste the strawberry. This 20-year-old one, I can't taste any strawberry. So I would suspect the strawberry just kind of absorbed the vanilla flavor. I'm eating vanilla right now. Ooh. The vanilla starts off as vanilla, then ends off almost with a rancid chocolate flavor. Kind of scared to see what chocolate tastes like. I didn't realize Astronaut ice cream, frozen, freeze-dried ice cream, can lose its flavor after 20 years. But most definitely, it's still edible, but it loses its flavor. It tastes kind of sour creamy with dust, but it's edible. Ugh. Do not buy old Astronaut ice cream if you want that fresh Astronaut ice cream flavor. You're not going to get it with old ones. Yikes, it's disgusting. That is gross. So that is my review. If it's not interesting, too bad, so sad. If I didn't share any paranormal stuff, deal with it. If the shots weren't close up and gave you detail of me eating this frog's foot, what you gonna do? I don't have professional camera people. I don't have a professional editor. I'm not networked with a YouTube network. The Patreon patrons, this video is not for you. I'm going to be making good ones for the Patreon patrons. Subscribers, this one's for you. Just kidding. Subscribers, just like the Patreons, feel free to watch the videos, the type of videos you want to watch. Support the videos, the type of videos you want to watch. You don't like this video? Let me know why in the comments section. I just wanted to taste test these 3 things for you. This is not a taste test review channel. I was at a authentic Mexican restaurant in Florida, and there's like a cheerleading team, and they were passing these out to everybody. And I was like, okay, whatever. These are pretty cool, though. And I brought them back. I don't know. Maybe they can have some use. Maybe they can do something of importance. I'm not sure. But I had a great time in Florida. It was actually pretty awesome. The microscopic, there was a bartender that was a little bit rude. No big deal. You come across that if you go to enough bars. The only thing is, I was super stoked and looking forward to this bar to the point where 6 months before going to it, and it happened to be the bar connected to my resort. So I passed this bar every single day on my way to Disney World, on my way back to my room. I looked at the menu online. I looked at the hours. It synced up with the pool hours. So we're looking forward to just hanging out, just being a regular for 1 week. The bartender was rude, so I only went there once. That's the only negative experience I had the entire time. Focusing on the positive, I had breakfast inside the castle in the Magic Kingdom in Disney World. I didn't even know you could go in the castle and have breakfast. It's very expensive. You have to pay and book in advance. We paid and booked 6 months in advance. And it was almost sold out. Had breakfast at 9:50 a.m. So you meet Cinderella, and then they take you upstairs and they seat you. You get to meet 4 other princesses. So you meet Cinderella, you meet Sleeping Beauty, you meet Snow White, you meet Ariel, you meet another one whose name I forgot. I'm not an expert at Disney princesses. It wasn't just for me. It was for the amazing person that invited me on this awesome vacation, the best vacation I've ever had. And it's the reason why I didn't do any ghost investigations. It's one of the main reasons. Because I didn't want to be rude. I didn't want to impose. It was just a time to relax. And if anyone wonders, oh, this guy's rolling in dough if he goes to Disney World for a week. I'm not. Matter of fact, I'm very grateful and humbled I had the opportunity to even witness such a thing. I'm probably going to have to save up for many years to go back. But I will go back. Animal Kingdom is very awesome. They have Harambe Animal Wildlife Reserve, where you can go on a safari tour, see the rhinoceroses. A couple rhinos walked in front of the tour bus. They couldn't even see, perhaps. She said rhinos don't have very good vision. They might have not noticed us. I think they did. I think they didn't care. They're kings of their little rhino hut area, and they're not going to let no tour bus cramp their style. And so they do whatever they want. It was an enjoyable experience having extra time to watch the rhinos. I saw giraffes, saw horned creatures I had never seen before, exotic creatures. But definitely that safari tour is one of the highlights of the trip. Got a picture next to the Harambe sign. Got a t-shirt that says Harambe on it, but it has an elephant. This is pre-Harambe the gorilla. Rest in peace. But the Harambe African area looks like you're in Africa when you're not. You're in a Disney attraction, but it looks like you're actually in Africa. They really go all out in detail. There's a Coke shop. It looks like it's a Coke shop in Africa, but it's not. And had a root beer float from a bus. It looks like I'm in India. So it subtly goes from Africa to India to Asia. India is not an official location, but they definitely spliced in a lot of Indian influences. Then there's an Asia-inspired area with what looks like Tibetan prayer flags, which lead up to Mount Everest, which is a ride, Expedition Everest, I talked about in my last video. Phenomenal time. I'd never seen Epcot Center and looked at the different countries. I went to Japan in Epcot Center, had lunch, had Japanese noodle soup, beef noodle soup, delicious, awesome. Never had anything like it. Tasted authentic to me. It was good, decent price. I recommend that place. I had shaved ice, melon flavored shaved ice. It looks like you're in Japan. Everything looks pretty awesome. If you want to visit the world, but you can't perhaps, Epcot Center is little different divisions of different countries is the closest thing to visiting those countries in one day as you're ever going to get. They have a Canada, they have a Mexico, they have China, they have Japan, they have USA, and the USA is kind of themed like a white picket fence with colonial white house, like Main Street USA in the Magic Kingdom. And there wasn't much going on in the USA, but you're already in the USA, not a big deal. There wasn't much going on in Canada, not a big deal. They had France, and the French menu was all in French, so we didn't go to the French restaurant. Couldn't read the menu. But that's how authentic they were. I'm sure if you went to France, they wouldn't have the menu in English. So it's authentic. Other countries as well, I may have forgotten. We walked through the whole place. Very cool. Spaceship Earth, Epcot Center. You go up to the top, you see history of the world up until the time that they created it. I'm sure they could change it, but I like it as it is. I'm glad I got to see a non-updated Epcot Center. I know they updated Pirates of the Caribbean with the redhead being a pirate with a gun, and the auctioneer is selling literal chicken hens, and the pirates are saying only if it lays golden eggs. They changed the dialogue a little bit. It is what it is. It's not a big deal. I did go on Pirates 3 times. The Pirates of the Caribbean treasure maps, scavenger hunts. I recommend going on that. You'll see it if you get there. There's a building with a dagger stuck in the wall, and if the door's open, you can pick up a map, talk to the cast member. They'll tell you what to do. I finished all 5 of these maps. All 5 of them. And what do you get if you finish all 5? You have to find that out for yourself when you get there. But if you finish 2 maps, you do get fast passes to Pirates of the Caribbean. I never got a chance to use. I wanted to use those fast passes. You know, a lot of people criticize me on YouTube and off of YouTube. It's like they expect, I don't know. People that expect the impossible from a YouTuber like myself. Sure, I've been actively on YouTube since 2009, but my old YouTube channel is 2006. And with those 2 channels, you get your fair share of negative comments. I think I've unfairly gotten way more negative comments than the average YouTuber. Way more. Way more. Don't know why. But it is what it is, you know. 99% of it rolls off my back, and I'm like, whatever. But, you know, occasionally you're like, you don't get a comment for a week straight. No comments for a week straight. You've been making content for 10 years straight on this channel. 2009, 10 years straight. And then your videos drop off the radar. And you've been making videos for 10 years. And no one cares or remembers. They just want what's new. You make a new video and they remember for 2 weeks, and then they're like, It drops off the radar of my subscribers seeing it. Because if my subscribers could see my videos, they would comment. They would watch. But they aren't commenting. They are not watching. It's impossible to have 10,000 plus subscribers with 5,000 of them being in the last 2 years, and having the numbers I have without some algorithmical interjection taking place. Algorithmic interference, if you will. The channel does what's best for the channel, according to how the channel sees it, and everything is evolutionarily changing every single day. The algorithm changes every single day. For the better or the worse, I think it's better in the fact that a lot of my videos are green, good to go, but there's still lack of comments. You made that video a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, who cares? You promised us 100 new videos. And I will deliver on what I've been working on. I will say the Gristmill Ghost and the Good Pirate documentary is top priority. Everything else is not. But I'll put up my Kurt Cobain video because it's 90% done. But Nirvana videos specifically, I've made only a couple. And they get tons of negative feedback. Whenever a subject is super popular, like I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. I've been watching since season 1, episode 1. Have seen every single one. I have a pretty good memory. Then I look at the trending page. There's a Game of Thrones commentary on the last episode. I click on it, I watch it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And the guy who has 1 million views on the trending top 10 trending page, talking about Game of Thrones, supposedly an expert, super fan, super nerd. He says Samwell didn't even graduate. How could Samwell could outread any of the books. Cured Mormont of that disease. Yeah, I forget tiny details, but I know that, and I know that Samwell over the top deserves that position he got at the end of the show. Over the top. He's the smartest, most well-read. He found Dragonglass in the books and found it in real life. The first one to kill a White Walker. Samwell, over the top, is 1 million times more educated than any of the D-bags in that library where he borrowed some of the books. He over the top deserves to be the top. I don't even know the name of it. The name of his position is escaping me at the moment. But I could do an entire video of Game of Thrones, but no one wants to see that or hear that. See, I could even get 50,000 views or 100,000, 400,000 views talking about Game of Thrones. But he would have tons of negative feedback. Because anything that's a super popular subject, negative. One of the reasons I want to do this video on just different foods is because people can't say, "Oh, you're wrong, you're a liar." I'm just observing what I'm tasting and seeing. So I'm not wrong and I'm not a liar. Get your own 2-year-old frog from Harry Potter land, Hogsmeade, and you tell me what it tastes like. You get a 20-year-old freeze-dried ice cream. See, it gets to the point where I want to defend myself, and I'm like, I don't need to. It's a waste of time. To the point where my Nirvana video, which is 90% done, my Kurt Cobain video, I already know it's going to get tons of negative feedback, because anything Kurt Cobain related is going to just have jackass after jackass wants to search Kurt Cobain every day. Just popular subjects. Something you think is unique to you, but 1 billion people search it every day. Game of Thrones, Kurt Cobain, just ultra popular subjects attract extreme a-holes. I'll give you an example. Joe Rogan. I made one video responding to a Joe Rogan episode. Joe Rogan didn't see it. Joe Rogan didn't care. He gets 1 million people responding to every episode he ever makes. It was just the first time I ever did a response video because I thought it was an intriguing subject of interdimensional this and that. Oh, and whether the entities seen through DMT trips are real, actually in another dimension, or are they just in your mind? And that attracted a lot of Joe Rogan fans. And Joe Rogan fans, generically speaking, are Kurt Cobain fans. They're Game of Thrones fans, all right? Joe Rogan is that big now, where Joe Rogan is Kurt Cobain, is Game of Thrones. You see, anything with millions and millions and billions of views is everybody. And when you have everybody, you have a lot of bad apples. And there's a lot of bad apple Joe Rogan fans. There's a lot of bad apple Kurt Cobain fans. There's a lot of bad apple Game of Thrones fans. Why? Because so many billions of people like those things that millions of bad apples like those things as well. And those bad apples end up commenting. Now, I almost want to make a disclaimer at the beginning, the middle, or the end, but the D-bags aren't going to see the end. So I got to put it either at the middle, quarter way, or the beginning. I'm going to say, I know you're going to put negative comments right here. Don't give two rats' asses. You're only giving me negative comments because you typed in the subject. You're obsessed with the subject. You have to prove to everyone you're right. You know everything about Kurt Cobain. You were best buds with Kurt Cobain, even though you were born after he died. And yeah, this video is going to get negative comments. I tweeted how I might move on to different things. I have to move on to different things. But as far as the contest winners, I'm going to print up that stuff. I just went on a vacation. I just bought this Diagon Alley t-shirt, which wasn't cheap. But I will print up the albums, the posters, the ghost hunting guidebook, booklet, instruction, whatever you want to call it, manual. It's more of a mini book, and I'm proud of it. I think it's pretty good. Got to print that up. It's going to cost a couple bucks. I will do it. You know, Val Kilmer, he paints pop art of characters he played in movies. Like, he has a Doc Holliday stencil that he sprays, and then he signs his name. And he does with the other iconic characters he played. Batman, Jim Morrison, Mark Twain for his Mark Twain play that he does. Val Kilmer's a huge fan of Mark Twain. I'm a fan of Mark Twain. I don't know nearly as much of Mark Twain's history as Val Kilmer does. I would love to have gone, or to go, to one of Val Kilmer's Mark Twain shows. But Val Kilmer inspires me. You know, he had potentially a cancer of the throat, and it's really been hard on his voice, and he pretty much isn't getting the same acting gigs he got. But he is going to be in the new Top Gun movie, and I greatly look forward to that. He visited Tombstone last year, and I believe this year, on Doc Hollidays. And I got a Doc Hollidays t-shirt. I went to the first Doc Hollidays. I missed Val. He was in a brief caravan of a brief parade. I want to see that. But I purchased a decent number of Val Kilmer pieces of art, and it inspires me to want to make art myself, you know. I need to find a means to pay for the book I want to print, Corners of Rooms, self-print, and maybe I'll make pieces of art. Not just simply t-shirts, but you can go to my Teespring and support me through that. You can support me on paypal.me/Razimus, patreon.com/Razimus. On my Teespring, you can see the link and you can see what's going on. You can recommend, hey, why don't you make a t-shirt that looks like that? I'll definitely accommodate that. And I will be sending the winners of the 10,000 subscriber contest their t-shirts. There are 2 winners, Brandon Young and Sam Shadow. You will get your t-shirt. I have to look at my files. I had to go on this trip. Gotta save some money. Will ship it out. But I gotta save more money for Corners of Rooms. And I'm not gonna be here forever. I'm gonna move in the future. So I need to save up for that too. I gotta sell off many things. I'm gonna sell a couple of my occult books here. You can't really see them, but I'm gonna sell a couple of those, my most expensive ones. I need to find a way to raise money. But I'm a decent artist. I've gotten an A+ in every single art class I've ever taken in my life. I don't know how many people can say that, But that's a clear indication that I'm an artist, a true artist. And I can draw, paint, sculpt, no matter the medium. I learned how to make masks a couple years ago. No matter the medium, I learned mold making by myself from YouTube videos. You can watch YouTube videos on how to do almost anything. I learned how to mold make. I professionally, if you can call it professionally, molded this statue. I don't know if you can see it. You can't see it. This Beethoven. I molded him perfectly, flawlessly. And I still have that mold. But I'm going to be making some paintings, I believe, and selling them. I don't know what the price, I don't know what the size, the medium, the subject. But I am going to be making some pieces of art, selling them, and they're probably going to be on Mysterialis.com. This is Mysterialis Ghost Investigation. I will investigate ghosts, and I will compile my ghost investigations. If you have any recommendations, you don't. Because every time I say that, I get crickets. But you know what? Except for occasionally someone says, come to my house. I'm not coming to your house. I saw a video, a very boring one, about some guy telling stories. As much as I love stories, as much as you love stories, I prefer data, evidence. Do you prefer data and evidence concerning ghosts, spirits? I do. I prefer that. I value that over stories. Although stories where stuff happens during the story, that stuff could be considered data. I definitely consider it data. Some guy talking about the Superstition Mountains in Arizona. I'm not too far from them. They obviously got that name because of the Native American superstitions of the spirits haunting sacred locations in the mountains. We could put that to the test. I would like to bring equipment out to the Superstition Mountains, but I can't do it solo. Solo is a death mission. Literally, when 5 guys go out there and they're lost for a week, lost for a day or two, no. I can't go solo. I could literally get jacked. There are people looking for the Lost Dutchman's mine. There's a mine, a famous story of a guy who found gold bars in a cave. He kept it a secret. He was so paranoid that someone would find it and steal it that he dynamited the entrance so it covered it up. But the thing is, I think he dynamited it and accidentally there was a rock landslide and 1,000,000 tons of rock fell on the entrance, and even he couldn't ever find it ever again. Because back then, when he did it, massive digging equipment didn't exist or wasn't readily available. Even with such equipment, it would probably cost $1 million to dig it out. Even if you knew exactly where it was, it'd probably cost $100,000 to dig it out. Yeah, chances are no one's going to find that cave entrance anytime soon. There's definitely a curse when it comes to mass quantities of treasures, solid gold especially. But I will go to the Superstition Mountains. Probably won't find any gold. I'm not looking for gold. I'm looking for evidence of spirits on my ghost investigation equipment. Just takes me back to that time where I saw this YouTuber. Don't know his name, never will. Who said, let's check to see if this REM pod works. Nope, doesn't work. That's so stupid. He immediately turns it off and takes the battery out. He's literally scared to have the device even on for longer than 10 seconds. Dude has no guts. Dude is a coward. But perhaps being a coward is a defense mechanism that can actually protect you. Because I don't have millimeters REM pods on in my room and haven't, because such devices attract the entities that can set them off, whether you believe that's true or not. The atheist that had the REM pod, turned it on for 10 seconds just so he could say it doesn't work, he's a complete moron. In the fact that he wouldn't even allow the scientific process to prove him wrong. He had an agenda. He already thought it didn't work before he bought it. I'd say that's a waste of money. It'd be the equivalent of me buying something, believing it was horrible before I tried it, and said it was horrible, or maybe even just smelled it, because he really didn't try the REM pod. You gotta have it on in a spooky setting for an hour straight. And if it's on in a spooky setting for an hour straight and nothing happens, then that's not an active area during that 1 hour period of time. Spirits can wander around. They could do what they gotta do. Robert Johnson, I just recently watched Devil at the Crossroads on Netflix. Robert Johnson story. And as much as I've researched and read his Wikipedia, I somehow missed this. I did hear from his grandson about the Ike Zimmerman story. He was always against the devil deal Crossroads thing. His grandson, his blood relative, was always pushing that Ike Zimmerman, an accomplished guitarist, did teach Robert Johnson how to play the guitar during a short space of time. But there's a tiny key detail that I'd never heard. I don't know how I missed it. But Ike Zimmerman had a theory on how to become a good guitar player. That you have to play at midnight in the graveyard. And that no one's going to tell you you suck at midnight in the graveyard. So play to your heart's content. Practice to your heart's content. So not all of it was supernatural. Some of it was, it's a nice quiet place, no one's going to bother you. But he did have a spiritual side, and he did say maybe the spirits can inspire you. Maybe the spirits can teach you. I think he was talking about subtly, not like jumping out saying, here's a guitar, watch me, here's the chords, but more on a level of when you get into that dreamland state. Kind of reminds me of the Pirate House, the legitimately haunted Pirate House. I've been there at 12 a.m. Very eerie, dreamlike state. If I played the guitar at that place, though, I would be paranoid. People could hear it in the distance. I'd be paranoid. So I'd never play guitar there at midnight. But apparently this graveyard was solitary enough where people never complained. Ike Zimmerman would sit on one raised grave of concrete, and Robert Johnson would sit on the other one so they could sit next to each other, and he would learn how to do the chords. I do believe the Crossroads that everyone talks about, that Robert Johnson did get the reference of the Crossroads, did get the origin reference from hoodoo, from African magic, but that the literal actual Crossroads was always spiritual. But the actual literal physical Crossroads was always that graveyard on top of those graves. So this is my new theory. Crossroads isn't physically a crossroads. It's always spiritual and hoodoo. But midnight in the graveyard, even though it sounds cliche, would be a place where the spirit and the physical would coexist temporarily. Until next time, I thank you for watching. This has been John Razimus. Be seeing you.